Marvel's making an Avengers Doomsday movie, which means they're making murals for the Avengers Doomsday movie. And they showed one of them off at Shanghai Expo in China. And are we going to overanalyze this poster and look at all their costumes and decide which ones are posed well and which ones are posed stupidly? You're darn right we are. We're going to do all of that over the course of a video that lasts for, oh my gosh, 15 minutes. Also, as I record this, my cat Mortimer is on my lap because he loves Beast, because Beast is a cat kind of guy sometimes. This is the first one of these we've seen. Now, it's not like a poster. We do have a poster that is just the traditional Avengers A poster in the style of Doctor Doom room or whatever that is. And we have seen some of the things they're advertising at this expo. There's a Doctor Doom chair. I guess he'd probably call it a throne. But this is the first time we've seen all the characters standing near each other in the outfits it seems like they're going to be wearing, and it told us a couple of things. Now, I always try to use my best judgment here when it comes to what I consider a spoiler, because I don't want to spoil this for you. So know that pretty much everything I say in this video, I would not consider a spoiler. But if you want to go in completely blind, I don't know, skip this video. There's a spot at the end of it where I talk about Nebula. Just go by Nebula. It's pretty good. go.nebula.tv/the Nando Cut. Okay. But when I saw this mural for the first time, my main thought was, oh, a lot of those leaked images seem to be real. This sort of confirms a lot of things we had suspected, and not based on leaked images, like images from the end of the movie or something. Leaked images like there was a crew gift, I believe it was a bag, that had caricatures of all of the characters, and in the image some of them were wearing costumes we're familiar with, but some were wearing new costumes. Like for instance, the X-Men had different costumes than they usually do. Mystique, Magneto, Nightcrawler, costumes that I would say are closer to comic accurate. We also saw that the Fantastic Four characters are all wearing jackets. They got jackets this time around. Last movie they didn't have jackets, but now they do. Although to be fair, Johnny's is a jacket, Reed's is a jacket, Sue's wearing a vest. We don't really see the sleeves here, but that is what she's wearing. So that's interesting, I guess. Is it? That's up to you. For Doctor Doom, get another good look at the Doctor Doom mask. Now we have seen several pieces of promo art that show Doctor Doom's mask, but this is one of the best looks we've got of it so far. And I think, say what you will about any of the other parts of the costume. And honestly, I think those all look pretty great too, but this looks perfect. This is an absolutely 100% perfect Doctor Doom mask. It looks just like he's supposed to look. And yeah, I know comic accuracy isn't everything, but it's a good start. But so some of the costumes are new. That's interesting. Let's work left to right as far as characters are concerned. We don't see Sentry in his classic Sentry costume. I think that's interesting. I imagine we will, considering that crew gift had him in it. We get Bucky, Walker, Ghost, and Yelena, all in costumes that are pretty similar to, if not identical to, the ones in the postcard scene for Thunderbolts, which makes sense because that was apparently a scene from this movie. Interestingly enough, in that scene, Red Guardian was wearing his Avengers with a Z jumpsuit thing, so we didn't see his new costume, but he is getting what seems to be a new costume. He also seemed to have cleaned up, cut his hair a little bit. Cool. Speaking of Yelena, Kevin Feige mentioned that we are going to see a lot of her in Doomsday, and we might even see her in something before that, which, there's only two things that she could possibly show up in, but that kind of confirms a rumor we had heard a while ago. But then let's go to Thor. So Thor, A, is jacked. A lot of definition on those muscles. B, he's wielding Stormbreaker. Sort of makes sense. Although, the last time we saw Thor, which was in Thor Love and Thunder, that movie ended with Thor using Mjolnir and Love using Stormbreaker. But it makes sense that he has Stormbreaker because, and we'll get to it technically it's a little bit further left than Ant-Man is, so let's get to that next. Captain America is holding Mjolnir. This is something we have not seen, but there was an Avengers Doomsday trailer that people did see that included a bit where Captain America wields Mjolnir. So here he is. I like that he's wearing his classic t-shirt. Doesn't seem like he's gonna have a Captain America costume, which I like. Give space to Sam so that he's not Captain America too. But aside from also being Jack, look at that arm. Captain America got the same assignment. It's about half of the characters on the poster, which is look sadly into the distance. Which, listen, I get it. This is serious. Doctor Doom is so serious. I kind of prefer the other half of the characters that got the direction, do a cool fighting pose. Like Thor, for instance. But hey, I guess the vibe with Captain America is he doesn't want to be here, which makes sense. There's plenty of people in the audience that don't know if it's a good idea for him to be in this movie, but I have a feeling he's gonna do stuff that's pretty cool. Next, let's talk about Ant-Man, who is sandwiched in between Captain America and Thor. Oh, what a lucky Ant-Man he is. He looks disappointed in us. He is mad because of something we did. We got caught cheating on a test and we didn't tell him. We forged his signature when we brought it back to the teacher. He heard about it all and he's given us that look. I like Ant-Man, he's fun. Out of everybody on this poster, he's the one I keep forgetting is in this. Now, this poster is sort of segmented, so you could call this first quadrant over here on the left Thunderbolts and Friends. Because it seems like Thor is off doing his own thing. Captain America's retired, which means, I guess, if Ant-Man fits in with that crew, he's also just doing his own thing. I kind of assumed he was part of Sam's Avengers, but they get their own little quadrant, I think. I don't know. Otherwise, I would say put him there. That way the Thunderbolts get to be bigger, which would be nice for them, I'm sure. Also, he's Ant-Man. He's small. He could be on Shang-Chi's shoulder if you wanted. We'll get to Shang-Chi soon, but first, we gotta talk about the X-Men. So, this is the first look we're getting in a couple of costumes in their full glory. And I do say glory, because they look cool. But let's go over the ones we've already seen. Gambit looks about what we saw before in Deadpool and Wolverine. You don't get as much of a look at the armor, but the cape, the card, the headstock, all there. You got Nightcrawler and Mystique. Nightcrawler here played by Alan Cumming, like in the second movie. Mystique here played by Rebecca Romijn, like in the first 3 movies. They got upgrades. It seems like Nightcrawler is getting a costume that's closer to his comic costume. Doesn't seem like it's fully there, but I mean, he never got a costume in the original movie outside of his circus costume. And in the X-Men movie video game, I'm pretty sure they gave him a costume, but even that was just kind of the 2000s-y costume. Everything's like black and matrixy. Here, it does seem like he's still wearing black leather, but you can see there's a little bit of red in there, which makes sense because Nightcrawler's costume is traditionally red and black. Love it. Then Mystique. So Mystique, Rebecca Romijn, started this short-haired Mystique thing. It is not usually what she looks like in the comics. We're still doing it here, fine. But it does seem like what they're going to do with Mystique, and I think this is interesting, is give her an outfit that is a piece of like battle armor like the rest of them wear. But hers specifically is going to have a pattern that is similar to the dress that Mystique usually wears in the comics. This very simple white dress. So even though there is blue in the costume, because that kind of looks like her skin from a distance, it looked like she's wearing the dress without having this character just wearing a dress in the middle of a big fight. Not that you can't wear a dress in the middle of a big fight, but the MCU isn't there yet. They're working on it. Then you have Cyclops. Looks perfect. Well, okay. I wish he had the shorts. I wish he had yellow shorts, but this is the best he's ever looked, and it's terrific. I do want to point this out because this is technically the part of the poster he's on. Loki is above Cyclops. I missed him in my first couple go-arounds, but he seems to be in the center of this poster, kind of uniting all 4 quadrants. Costume looks about the same as from the end of season 2 of Loki as this god of stories. Originally, I was like, oh, he's not in the poster because maybe something terrible is going to happen to him very early in the movie, which would be hilarious because that's how Avengers Infinity War starts, but he is in the poster, so maybe that's not how it goes. Out of all the characters in this movie that seem like they would be pretty big impediments to Doom's success, Loki is the big one. He is this movie's Vision, where like Thanos couldn't assemble all of the Infinity Stones without killing Vision. And similarly, I don't think Dr. Doom can take control of all of reality without going through Loki. And I don't think this Loki is one who's going to make a deal. Finishing off this lower quadrant here, you got Beast, played by Kelsey Grammer. Now, we did see this version of Beast in the Marvels, but here he's got his shirt off. Cool. Then Magneto and Professor Xavier. So Magneto and Professor Xavier are both in the trailer. Professor Xavier doesn't look surprising. Magneto, we do see what's probably the closest this character has ever had to a comic-accurate costume, which just means it's pretty much the original Magneto costume, but with red and purple accents. I think this looks great. I am very happy that the X-Men got their own little quadrant here. And I'm very happy that like putting Cyclops front and center in the marketing makes sense for these guys. Like he is almost as important as Pedro Pascal, Reed Richards, Chris Evans, Captain America, Chris Hemsworth, Thor, like he's on that level. And I think that's great. And so that's the bottom quadrant. Also, the left quadrant had like a green background. The bottom quadrant has a purple or indigo background. And the right quadrant has a blue background. And that quadrant is the one featuring the Fantastic Four and also Sam's Avengers. The Avengers with an S. So Fantastic Four, like I said, they're wearing coats. They're wearing vests. Otherwise, they look pretty much the same as they did in their movies. They, like Captain America, are also depressingly looking off into the distance, which is a mistake because I think everybody else in this quadrant did a pretty good job. First of all, you got Shuri, the Black Panther, and M'Baku, the King of Wakanda, something I forgot to mention in one of my videos. Shuri's costume looks largely the same. I think it is going to have like some blue accents or something. That's kind of cool. And M'Baku's costume, also pretty similar to what we've seen him in. Shang-Chi is over here in no man's land, and I really want to focus on him, because out of everybody here who I knew was getting a costume upgrade, he's the one that I was the most curious about, because I like the Shang-Chi movie, and I like the outfit he wears at the end of that movie. However, it doesn't really feel like his outfit. He's borrowing some armor from the people of Ta Lo, just happens to be what he's fighting in, and it is his comic colors. Traditionally, he's red and black, so it matched that. But my problem with it was it didn't really feel like something you could do a backflip in. It almost felt kind of leathery, like the original X-Men costumes from the 2000s. And I would love it if Shang-Chi got a much simpler outfit. And obviously, at least my first thought here for what should the uniform of the martial arts expert be, it's that very simple yellow and black outfit that Bruce Lee wears in Game of Death. I can't tell if that's what we have here. Whatever he's wearing does appear to have either a belt, although that's not what I think it is, a sash, although that's not what I think it is either, or tails? That is what I think is coming off the bottom of this shirt. You do have the diagonal lines on the chest, which is kind of what the original costume was like, but I just hope to give him something simple that feels like what a martial arts expert would wear. And I'm sure you can find examples of martial arts experts dressing like this. I think that's all you need. Hell, Simu Liu's got abs, he's in good shape. I bet he's in even better shape than he was for the first Shang-Chi movie. I'd be fine with this character shirtless, because that is in the comics a lot of the time how Shang-Chi looks. And I mean, sure, Thing wears a shirt now, but Beast is still shirtless. And then in the top right, you get Sam and Joaquin. They seem to be wearing pretty much exactly the same costumes they wore in Captain America Brave New World. That's fine. It will be fun to have Sam, Cap, and Bucky all in the same movie again. I hope they do something like they did in Civil War that was eventually deleted, where they all work together, sort of toss the shield to one another. But they're flying, doing a big action pose, and I think that's cool. And then in the center, in the top quadrant, you got just Doom's big ol' head. We've already talked about it. I love it. Let's talk about who's not here. I think there's only one character, if I'm remembering correctly, who got a chair reveal who is not part of this. But we do not have any Tenoch Huerta as Namor. Now, we saw him in one of the teasers, so we know he's there. But I'm curious why he's not here. Part of me wonders, and this is just full, speculating, if we want to have a character who Doctor Doom can kill or beat the hell out of really quickly to show us, this guy means business. Sort of like how Thanos just beat up the Hulk immediately in Infinity War. I think a character that could do that and get KO'd, out of the movie for good, maybe even killed, and it wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world, because he's not everybody's favorite guy, and also, he's the kind of character with an ego, so he totally would just jump at attacking Doom, assuming he's just another guy in armor. I think that could be Namor. I wouldn't be surprised if Namor has an early encounter with Doctor Doom, where he is just absolutely handled. But still, you kind of figure he'd be on this poster. So that's everything. Overall thoughts. I don't love this poster. I don't think it's a very good mural in terms of making the movie look cool. It technically has all of the guys in the movie, and I would not be surprised if a lot of these poses match up with poses that are part of leaked behind the scenes promotional photos. So they just kind of smush them all together. But I do think if we're going to make one of these posters, and if we're going to show it, we're going to show a nice fancy HD one, make them all do action poses. The X-Men get it. They always get it. Scott's not just standing around being sad. He's got his finger on the visor. Nightcrawler's crouch down. The Fantastic Four here looks like they're posing to be on their universe's version of Mount Rushmore. No expression. And I think the Doom expression is quite good. Besides the mask having those eyebrows, I love the intensity in his eyes. Listen, did I think I'd have this much stuff to talk about in the mural? No, but here we are. Eventually we'll probably even see a trailer, probably quite soon, with New York Comic Con on the horizon. And this obviously 2026 is the year of the X-Men. I love the X-Men. I love what X-Men 97 is currently doing. And listen, if you love the X-Men, like I do, you love superpowers, you love messy relationships, a lot of fantasy tropes, which reminds me of a video I was watching called Time to Pivot to Romantasy, I guess, by one of my favorite creators, Lindsay Ellis. In it, Lindsay talks about the romantasy genre, which I was fascinated by. I've been hearing about it for years, never really knew what it was. And I think Lindsay's perspective on it as an author who writes about something that's kind of similar is really interesting. I would say it's definitely worth a watch, whether you are a big fan of romantasy or, like me, someone who has heard about it a lot but doesn't really know what it is. And you can find that video along with tons of other videos on this video's sponsor, Nebula. Nebula is a subscription streaming platform that I and a bunch of other YouTubers you probably already love helped to create. First thing that's important, all of our videos go up there early and ad-free. So if you want to be the first person to see one of my Nando V movies or Nando Cut videos, Nebula is for you. And then there are series like Jetlag or Tom Scott's England, where they go up on Nebula a week before they go anywhere else. Then we also have Nebula exclusive series of videos, like Tom Nicholas has a series called Slow News Day. Captain Midnight has a series called Showrunners, where he looks at different people that have created television shows. The first episode is about Rod Serling in The Twilight Zone. The second episode is about Vince Vince Gilligan in Breaking Bad looks at the journey of how they got to where they were and how that shaped the series they would showrun. And then Curious Archives Gods and Monsters series looks at these different legendary creatures from religion and mythology and talks about how the ideas of those creatures has evolved over time and they've turned into pop culture characters. So you can find all that great stuff exclusively on Nebula. And a year of Nebula is already a steal at $60 a year. That is $5 a month. But if you go to go.nebula.tv/thenandocut, you can get Nebula for just $2.50 a month. That is $30 for the year. It's an awesome deal. Go check it out. I guarantee there is a creator you already love who's part of Nebula. And if you spend some time on Nebula, I bet you'll find your new favorite creator. After me, of course. Your second favorite creator because I'm your favorite. Don't correct me. Again, that is go.nebula.tv/thenandocut. Keep an eye out for more. Probably not going to analyze every mural that comes out that has these guys in different poses and different orders. Probably just talk about that on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. But when we get that trailer, you better believe we'll have a video. Till then, stay safe. I'll see you around.